She asked me to sleep in the living room because she needed space to think about our relationship. Turned out, she was video calling her ex every night. When I confronted her, she said, "He helps me sleep, you just stress me out." I packed her things, dropped them off at his place, and changed the locks. 3 days later, she was sleeping in her car, begging me to let her back in. She told me she needed some space to sort out her thoughts about our relationship, and asked me to sleep on the couch. Said it would only be for a little while. What I didn't know then was that she'd been video chatting with her ex every night before falling asleep. When I brought it up, she looked me straight in the eye and said, "He helps me relax and drift off. You, on the other hand, just stress me out." I didn't yell. Didn't argue. I just quietly gathered up all her things, took them over to his place, left them at his door, and then I changed the locks on my house. 3 days later, she was sleeping in her car and texting me nonstop, begging to come back. Hey, quick pause for anyone listening. Only about 8% of you watching are subscribed. If you like stories like this, hitting that button really helps the channel keep rolling. Appreciate it. Anyway, back to the story. I'm Alex, 38 years old, and yeah, this happened just 5 days ago. Still wrapping my head around the nerve it took. I'd been with Sophie, she's 29, for about 2 years. She moved in 8 months ago after her lease was up. We never put anything in writing. It was just understood she'd help cover groceries and utilities. She works part-time at this little boutique downtown. Probably makes $15 an hour tops. Last Tuesday night, I got home from a long, rough day on the construction site. Sophie was sitting in the living room with this heavy look on her face. "Alex, we need to talk," she said. Now, anytime a conversation starts like that, it's rarely a good sign. Sure enough, she told me she'd been thinking about our relationship and needed a little space. Just for a week or two. Then she hits me with, "Would you mind sleeping on the couch so I can have the bedroom to myself?" I just stared at her, trying to wrap my head around what she was actually saying. "You want me to crash on my own couch, in my own house, so you can have the bed to yourself, to process us?" "It's not like that," she replied. "I just need some mental clarity. The bedroom feels like our shared space, and I need it to feel like mine for a bit so I can think straight." Yeah, okay. Red flags were popping up like fireworks, but I let it go. Not worth the blow-up. Sometimes you gotta pick your battles. So, I grabbed a pillow and set up camp on the couch. That was Tuesday night. Come Wednesday around 11 p.m., I was lying there scrolling through my phone when I heard her talking in the bedroom. Figured it was her sister or a friend. Thursday night, same time, I hear her again, quiet voices for nearly an hour. This time I was a little more curious. Friday night, I decided enough was enough. I crept down the hallway to the bedroom door, which she'd left slightly open. I stayed just out of view and listened. "Good night, baby. I love you too. Sweet dreams." Then his voice. "Love you too, baby." My stomach just dropped. I walked back to the couch in silence. Didn't say a word. Saturday morning, she left for work at the boutique. The second her car was out of the driveway, I got to work. I packed up everything she owned, every single thing. Clothes, shoes, makeup, even that ridiculous stockpile of bath bombs she never once used. Took about 2 hours. 6 big garbage bags and 3 boxes, all loaded into my truck. She had mentioned her ex, Ethan, a couple of times back when we first started dating. Said they were still on friendly terms. One time, when we were driving past his apartment complex, she casually pointed it out and said that's where he lived. Top corner unit, 2nd floor. It didn't take long to find the building again. I remembered the layout. I hauled all her stuff over and dropped it outside the door I was 95% sure was his. Left a note on top. "Sophie needs space to think things through. She's all yours now. Alex." Then I headed home and called a locksmith. Had to pay extra since it was a weekend, but by 4 p.m. I had brand new locks. Cost me $320, and honestly, worth every dollar. Sophie got home around 6. I watched through the window as she tried her key, once, twice, 3 times. Then she started banging on the door. "Alex? What's going on? My key's not working." I cracked the door open but kept the chain lock on. "Your stuff's over at Ethan's." "What? What do you mean at Ethan's?" "Well, you said you needed space to process things, with him. So I gave you all the space you could ever want." "Alex, this is insane. You can't just throw me out. It's my house. My name's on everything. You're not on any lease, and you're not on any bills. Figure something else out. But where am I supposed to sleep? Maybe Ethan can help with that. Seems like he's already helping in every other department. She started crying at that point. Don't know if they were real tears or just part of the act. Alex, please. I messed up. I shouldn't have been talking to Ethan like that. We can fix this. No, we already did. You got the space you wanted. I didn't mean forever. I just needed a few days. And you used those days to tell your ex you love him every night. So now, I've stepped aside. You've got all the freedom in the world to do that without me in the picture. Then I shut the door. She pounded on it for another 10 minutes before finally leaving. That was Saturday. It's Tuesday now, and the circus hasn't stopped. Update 1, 10 days later. First off, thanks to everyone who commented. Good to know I wasn't just being overly sensitive. After she left Saturday night, I thought that was the end of it. Should have known better. Sunday morning, my phone starts lighting up. Different numbers too, because I blocked her main one after the second call. Alex, I'm sleeping in my car. Please let me come back. This is ridiculous. I have nowhere to go. Apparently, Ethan told her he couldn't take her in. Said his lease didn't allow long-term guests. Imagine that. Turns out Romeo wasn't too keen on playing house when there were actual responsibilities involved. Then her mom, Diane, calls me Sunday afternoon. She lives about an hour and a half away. Alex, what is going on? Sophie called me crying, said she's sleeping in her car. Diane, your daughter asked me to sleep on the couch so she could have private nightly chats with her ex-boyfriend from the comfort of my bedroom. I just gave her all the privacy she asked for. That doesn't sound like Sophie. Are you sure this isn't just a big misunderstanding? I heard her tell him she loved him. Friday night. Ask her about the bedtime calls with Ethan. Long silence. Then, I'll talk to her. Click. She hung up. Monday morning, Sophie shows up at my job site, making a whole scene in front of the crew. My foreman had to step in and tell her to leave or security was getting involved. Then Monday night, guess who's back? Sophie and Diane, standing on my porch. Alex, Diane said, her tone cautious. Sophie told me about the phone calls. She swears it wasn't what it sounded like. I turned to Sophie and asked, Okay then, what exactly did it sound like when you were telling Ethan you loved him? She shrugged, trying to look innocent. I meant it like, platonically. You know, people say that kind of thing to close friends. After you kicked me out of my own bedroom so you could have private chats with him? I said, staring her down. Diane's expression shifted like she just realized something ugly. You made Alex sleep on the couch? She asked Sophie, visibly irritated. Mom, it's not that simple. Sophie replied, already flustered. I just needed some space to think, and having both of us in the bedroom felt suffocating. In his house. Diane snapped, her voice flat. Well, yeah, but... Sophie, get in the car. Neither of them said another word after that. They left. Then Tuesday rolls around and Sophie tries a different tactic. She sends someone new to knock on my door. A girl I've never seen before. Hi, she says, smiling awkwardly. I'm Rachel, I work with Sophie. She asked me to come talk to you. About what exactly? She's really struggling right now. Sleeping in her car, barely has money for gas to make it to work. She knows she messed up. But she's learned from it. Her mistake, I said calmly, was trying to line up a replacement boyfriend while still living under my roof. And the lesson here? Don't screw over the person who's been taking care of you. She mentioned you guys were already having issues. Rachel said carefully. Yeah, we weren't having problems until she turned our bedroom into a private booth for bedtime calls with her ex. Rachel blinked. She said you were kind of controlling, like you didn't let her have space. Oh, I gave her space, I said, gesturing to the closed door. A whole lot of it. Mission accomplished. And I shut the door. Update 2, 1 month later. It's been about 5 weeks since Sophie's famous. I need space. Request. Thought I'd check back, and since people have been asking for an update. Her little car camping adventure lasted a grand total of 1 week. October nights turned out to be colder than she expected, and apparently her 2015 Honda Civic wasn't the cozy oasis she'd imagined. Diane came and picked her up the following weekend. I only found that out because Sophie tried one final Hail Mary the night before. She showed up at my place late Friday night, around 10 p.m. Looked like hell. Hair greasy, same clothes from the day before, clearly hadn't showered in a while. Alex, please, she said, on the verge of breaking. I can't keep doing this. I'm freezing. I'm exhausted. I really screwed up. Just let me come home. This isn't your home anymore. I told her. But where am I supposed to go? I can't afford rent on what I make at the boutique. Maybe you should have thought about that before you started auditioning my replacement. I replied. I wasn't trying to replace you, she said, sounding desperate. Ethan and I are just friends. Yeah? Friends who say I love you to each other every night? Friends who boot their boyfriend to the couch so they can whisper sweet nothings? That's not how it was. That's exactly how it was. You wanted space to process our relationship. Well, consider it processed. We're done. She tried to shove past me and get inside. I blocked the doorway. If you don't leave now, I warned, I'm calling the cops and reporting you for trespassing. That snapped her out of it. She backed off and left. The next morning, Diane came by alone. She looked tired but calm. Alex, I owe you an apology, she said. I got the full story from Sophie. What she did wasn't okay, at all. I appreciate that, Diane, I said. She's moving back in with me for now until she can sort her life out. I just wanted to ask if there's anything she left behind? Everything she owns is at Ethan's. Whatever happened to it after that is between them. Diane nodded. Fair enough. For what it's worth, I raised her better than this. Not your fault, I told her. We all make our own choices once we're grown. And that was the last time I saw either of them. Heard through the grapevine, guy at work whose girlfriend knows someone at the boutique, that Sophie quit a couple weeks later. Too many missed shifts, showing up late. Makes sense. Hard to be reliable when you're bouncing between your car and your mom's house an hour and a half away. Also heard Ethan packed up and moved out not long after. Probably got tired of having Sophie's junk on his doorstep and her popping in for help. Final update, 3 months later. It's been around 14 weeks since Sophie told me to sleep on my own couch so she could have intimate little calls with her ex. Life's been good since then. Honestly, really good. The house is peaceful now. Quiet when I want it to be. Organized how I like it. No arguments, no surprises waiting when I walk through the door after work. About a month ago, I met someone new. Her name's Laura. We met at a hardware store of all places. She was picking up a part to fix her garbage disposal herself. She owns her own home. Has a real career in accounting. Handles her own business. Doesn't need to process anything with a backup man on standby. We alternate staying at each other's places, and not once has she tried to take over my space or tell me to sleep on the couch. Wild concept, huh? As for Sophie? Last I heard she's working at some chain restaurant back in her hometown. Living with Diane. Complains online about how hard it is to save money, and how expensive everything is. No mention of what actually happened. Still painting herself as the victim. Ethan? Apparently he moved back in with his parents. Guess he didn't sign up to be Sophie's knight in shining Civic. Oh, and that $320 locksmith bill? Best investment I ever made. Haven't had to deal with a single bit of drama since then. Sophie wanted to see if she could do better. She found out the hard way she couldn't. Turns out the grass isn't greener when you're parked under a street lamp, wrapped in a blanket in the back seat of your car. She gambled on Ethan being an upgrade. He wanted late-night attention, not a live-in ex-girlfriend. She thought I'd always be her backup plan. I was just looking for someone who wouldn't kick me out of my own damn bedroom. In the end, the best revenge wasn't yelling or making a scene. It was giving her exactly what she asked for and walking away. She wanted space to process our relationship? I gave her all the space in the world. And she used it to process just how badly she blew it. Some lessons are expensive. Hers cost her a free roof over her head, a loyal partner, and her independence. That's what happens when you take kindness for granted and try to play games with someone who actually knows their worth.